This is Professor Vancello, and this video will help you learn more about CSS3, cascading style sheets, and more importantly, we'll give you some tips and tricks for working with CSS. Here are our objectives. The first one is going to be just to assess some style rules. I'm going to start with a sample HTML file, and I'm going to base this off of these instructions in this textbook, but I'm going to try to keep it very neutral so this information applies to anything you're doing in CSS. So I'm going to preview that HTML file in my browser with Notepad++. There's a menu option for running it in your browser. And rather than looking line for line, word for word, what these instructions are, I'm going to read them all and try to understand the overall objective of what I'm trying to do. And the overall objective here is just to add some style to this page. Rather than typing it in, I'm going to go to my favorite site, which is a great resource for everything HTML and CSS, W3 Schools, and I'm going to look at a working example in the Try It editor. So here I see that there's the style tags. Everything within the style tags is CSS. This is the CSS language, and it controls the way the web page looks. The HTML just controls what content is inside the web page. All right, so this is what the whole idea behind CSS is, controlling what the web page looks like. There's some syntax, some new words to learn. There's selectors. Body is a selector. You need to tell the browser, which is going to end up reading the CSS, you need to tell it what it is in the HTML you want to control the appearance of. And one way of doing that is with an element selector. So with this, all the body is going to have a certain style associated with it, and all paragraphs and all headings. Anything that has a tag in CSS will, the appearance will be changed in HTML. So you can see the style in this Try It editor matches what I have in my example. All right, so that's the initial objective, should be to understand what's going on inside the Try It editor. You know, match up okay, here's the body tag being set. I can play around with the property value here, and I can submit and see that it's changing. The intermediate objective after that is to copy this code into your own file and get it to work, which we've done a little bit of. And then the terminal objective is to modify the code within our file to meet exactly what we need. So before you get there and start messing up your own file, feel free to play around in this sandbox, which is the Try It editor, W3 Schools. And you see that anything in the paragraph tag here, anything in the body tag is what's being controlled. Let's make this CSS a little bit more readable. First of all, it's all black, which is not ideal. Notepad++ is usually pretty good about doing color coding for us, but this is CSS within an HTML document, so it doesn't really know that it's CSS. So later on we'll see how that can change, but we can at least change the indentation to help the readability. Now all of our selectors, our elements, are along the left side, and our properties and our property values are easy to read in the middle. And we can see exactly what it was that we were supposed to do in this example, not just taking our code from W3 Schools. It wants the H1 element to be a left align, so it doesn't want the color set on it. We can delete that. We'll save this file, do one little thing at a time, save and refresh. All right, the orange went away, and now we're left aligned. So it seems to be working. So we've done that. We've assessed style rules, and we've created an embedded style sheet. When you put the style in the HTML file, that is an embedded style sheet. Next thing we're going to do is implement an ID selector. So I mentioned earlier, a selector is identifying what in the HTML you want to set the style of. Again, read the entire section to figure out what it is they're trying to do. They just want you to create an ID and set the style on it. So I'm going to go back to W3 Schools. I'm going to go to the Id and Class page. I'm going to read about it. The key thing about an ID is it is used for a single unique element, not all paragraphs, just a paragraph that you identify yourself. Alright, so here's the syntax for it. It takes a pound sign, and then this one is just the name para1. This is all the style. We can copy and paste this into ours, and we don't really need this P element style. It wasn't part of the assignment. That was just part of the example, so we can get rid of that. We'll indent it nicely, highlighting and pressing tab with Notepad++, indents. We'll save, and when I refresh, you should see the paragraph styling went away because we got rid of that P element from the CSS. But nothing's red, so we're not really using this para1 style yet. So to see how to use it and where they want to use it, we'll look back here, and they want the just one paragraph, the one with the address in it, to have the ID and have that style associated with it. So looking back at how the link was made between the CSS and the HTML, there it is. You put it within the tag. You put ID equals, and then double quotes, and then the name or whatever is after the pound sign in the CSS. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go to my HTML, and I'm going to paste ID, and I'm going to make it what they said to in the book, contact, which is a better name in this example, because we're controlling the style of the contact information. I'm going to save it. I'm going to refresh, and boom! It's red. How cool is that? Alright. So we know that we've done some good things, but it's not exactly what it wants. They want it to be right aligned. Looks like it's all that they really want. So we will go back in and get rid of color red and change text align from center to right. Save, refresh, one little thing at a time. You should never have a bunch of stuff wrong with your web page. You should only have at most one thing wrong. If you only change one thing and keep going, it's a lot more fun. Alright, so we are up to the point of doing a div element. Div stands for a division or divider. It's basically a way to separate out a section in HTML. It's not going to change the way anything looks by itself. It's just like a container for a segment or a section of your HTML. And the thing it allows you to do, what I've typed in right away as I added it, it allows you to associate an ID with it. Remember, you can set an ID on a selector. So we're going to be able to select this div, assign it the ID of box. Again, that name could be whatever we want, but box is a common one that's used because you do put a box around content within web pages frequently. And what does it want this box to do? What does it want to have? It wants a border style and a border width, but it doesn't tell us exactly the syntax for that property. So what I would do here is go to W3 Schools, find the reference for CSS, and copy and paste it. We don't want any style set on our body. We've already got a working example of how to do an ID, so I can copy and paste that. I'm just going to change the name from contact to box because that's the ID that I set when I typed in my div. And we don't want text align right for the whole box. We want that border width and border style. So this is where I go to the W3 Schools link, and I'll put links for everything that every web page that I go to will be in the description for this video, so you can just click on them. You won't have to dig them out yourself. I recommend bookmarking some of them, especially this one. CSS Reference, all the properties listed in nice groupings, so you just have to know what it is you want to set a property about, and we want to know, could be box, oh, but it's border. Yeah, border would be a better place to look. Border width, so we know it's border dash width. And we see an exact example here that we can copy and paste. And in this example, it was doing 15px. That's called a property value. There's a lot of different acceptable property values. Again, W3 Schools is going to be your reference location to see the valid properties and property values. So saving, refreshing, my body background went away, which I wanted, but I don't see any kind of border. That's because I've set the border width, but I haven't set the border style. That might be something you just kind of have to read about and play around with, but again, one little thing at a time. Until you set the border style, the border width won't have an effect, but whoa, that is pretty thick. That's probably more thick than we want, so might have done something wrong. Oh yeah, it was supposed to be 0.5, not 5. As long as you do one little thing at a time, no big deal. Go back in, fix it. Alright, so there's a lot more things they wanted you to do with this box. I'm going to trust that you're going to be able to do that on your own. And we're going to move on to a class selector. Alright, this is our third selector. First we just did elements, then we did IDs, now we're doing a class. A class is very similar to an ID. It's a way to give a name to something in HTML and have associated style with it. It's even on the same page at W3 Schools. The key difference is it's used on several elements. It's got a little bit different syntax. You see it's got the dot goes before it in the CSS. In the Triad editor, we'll play around, make sure you understand it. Again, 3 steps. Make sure you understand it in W3 Schools. Copy it into ours, make sure it works. Then tweak it to meet our specifications. Alright, so here's the syntax in HTML. The way I remember it is an ID uses a number sign, kind of like your school ID number. You might have a school ID number. So ID number, and that you're just one person, so it's for one thing. And a class uses a period. That might be a term that you use in high school or something, a class period. And there's a bunch of people in your class. So you can set a class for multiple elements in CSS. So ID, number sign, one thing, class, period, multiple things. Right. You can remember that, or you can just know where to go at W3 Schools and copy paste. Okay, so again, there's going to be some specific attributes they want you to set and specific things. I'm not going to go into that, but we'll move on to external style sheets. The cool thing about external style sheets is that you don't have to do anything different. If you have embedded, you can just cut it right out of embedded and paste it into a new file. The benefits of this are that you can then link back to that file for multiple web pages, and that one style sheet will control what all of them look like. Another benefit in Notepad++ is when you save it as a CSS file, you get color coding. And if any of these properties were not correct, it would let you know with the color coding. But just having those two files isn't enough. You have to make a connection between them. You need to link them to each other, and this is the code to do that. Again, you can find it in the description of this video. All you would have to change is the file name, as long as the CSS file is in the same folder as the HTML file. They'll be able to find each other. Again, the benefit is multiple different HTML pages can link to one CSS file. You can quickly change the overall appearance of your entire website by going to one file and changing one thing. Nice, consistent look to your website. Next, we're going to validate our CSS. Several ways to do it. One is through this validation service website by copying and pasting direct input. Validation is making sure that all of your syntax is exactly correct. Every opening curly brace has a closing curly brace. Your colons and semicolons are all in the right place. It's a really good thing to do. You can also do it in Firefox in this tool called the Web Developer Toolbar. There's tools and there's a direct link. Once you've uploaded to a web server, you can use that web link. Even before you upload to a web server, though, you can use some other tools in the CSS menu in the Web Developer Toolbar. There'll be a link to install this again in the description. You can put your mouse over elements on the HTML page, and at the top of the screen it'll show you what element you're in or ID or class that you're in, and then you can see the associated CSS code at the bottom. You can do lots of other stuff in that toolbar, and Chrome has a similar thing that's already part of it called Developer Tools. Access it through the settings. When you do that, when you click on and highlight an element on the left, it shows you on the right the CSS rules that are associated with it. This one says user agent style sheet. That just means that it's something that Chrome is controlling because you haven't set anything. Let's go to something we have set, like this contact for this paragraph. When we highlight that, on the right side we can see that it's getting the class, or the ID, remember #, number sign ID, contact, and we can check and uncheck that to make it go away. So I hope you had fun with CSS. It's really cool. Go make some good looking websites.